It doesn't. It collapses in slabs, sometimes slowly, sometimes all at once. And whatever was sitting on top of that cliff, a guardrail, a shoulder, a lane of highway, goes with it. Oregon's most vulnerable coastline sections are losing ground at rates of 1 to 6 feet every single year. Not every decade, every year. At Gold Beach, at Cape Perpetua, at Brookings, the measurements taken by state geologists show retreat rates that have doubled in the last 15 years alone. What was considered a stable bluff in 2005 is now classified as an active collapse zone. The arrival of El Niño conditions has made everything significantly worse. When El Niño takes hold in the Pacific, sea surface temperatures rise, storm tracks shift southward, and the swells that hit the Oregon coast become larger, more powerful, and more frequent. The winter of 2024 delivered wave energy readings that broke monitoring records at multiple points along the 101 corridor. Emergency crews responded to cliff failures and road damage at more than a dozen locations between December and February alone, with repair costs running into the tens of millions of dollars in a single season. But the detail that keeps coastal geologists up at night isn't the sections that have already collapsed. It's the sections that are still standing. USGS survey data reveals what engineers are privately calling ghost infrastructure. Stretches of Highway 101 where the road surface looks completely intact from above, but the bluff supporting it has already lost 60 to 70% of its original base. The road isn't sitting on solid ground, it's sitting on what's left of solid ground. And what's left is disappearing faster than the repair budgets can follow. The erosion is not happening evenly, and it is not happening slowly. It is accelerating. It is targeting the weakest points in the corridor with a consistency that looks almost deliberate. And in several locations along Highway 101, engineers already know the outcome. They just don't know exactly when. To understand why Highway 101 is losing this fight, you have to understand what changed. Because the Oregon coast has always had waves. It has always had storms. It has always had erosion. What it did not always have is everything happening at once, at this scale, accelerating faster than any model predicted. Start with sea level rise. NOAA's measurements along the Oregon coast show that sea levels are already meaningfully higher than they were 50 years ago, and projections estimate an additional 1 to 3 feet of rise by 2100. That number sounds manageable until you understand what even a few inches of additional sea level does to wave energy. Higher baseline water means waves strike cliff faces higher up, attacking rock and soil that was previously out of reach. The geometry of the coastline changes. The erosion zone moves upward, and suddenly, bluffs that were considered safely above the wave zone are not safe anymore. Then, there is the intensification of Pacific storm tracks. Research from Oregon State University confirms that the storm systems driving swells into the Oregon coast have shifted in ways that concentrate wave energy directly onto the most vulnerable stretches of the 101 corridor. These are not bigger storms exactly. They are more precisely aimed storms, delivering force to coastline segments that previous weather patterns largely spared. But perhaps the most overlooked driver of accelerating erosion is one that has nothing to do with the ocean at all. It starts miles inland in the mountains, at the dams built across Oregon's coastal rivers throughout the 20th century. Those dams stopped something critical. They stopped sediment. For thousands of years, rivers carried sand, gravel, and organic material down to the coast, constantly replenishing the beaches that act as the coastline's first line of defense. Healthy beaches absorb wave energy before it ever reaches a cliff face, but sediment-starved beaches, stripped of their natural supply by upstream dams, grow thin and retreat. And when the beach disappears, the waves arrive directly at the cliff with nothing in between. Scientists at Oregon State and the U.S.